with another video. And I'm just chilling right now, just hanging out, just seeing what people are up to. Gonna engage with the chat if anybody joins. Haven't smoked in a long time. It's a good day for it, so I thought I'd do it. So here we are, smoking this Capone. I know damn way someone's cutting the grass right now. Guess it makes sense. Trying to think about what I could talk about. I didn't really have a plan. Of course, now you can't really hear me, which is kind of annoying. Hopefully, this dude chills out. Freaking weed whacker. Ugh. What up? What up? Yeah, I'm trying to think. What was the last video I made? I think I was talking about philosophy, talking a little bit about how to type yourself objectively, or if you can or not. That's a pretty long-standing conversation, which is kind of pointless, but I guess it's worth. Bro, timing is impeccable. Can't make it up. But yeah, just Jay chilling, talking about can you type yourself objectively or not? What's the consensus? No, you cannot. Unless you use some form of, you know, cognitive type, or and that's even begging the question whether or not it's subjective. What part is objective? Getting the type correct, or just noticing visual markers of type, or visual markers of some kind of adjacent thing to personality. No one really knows. But there's still utility in it. I kind of stand by that. I haven't really changed my opinion that much about cognitive typology, but it's just pretty clear that there's something definitive in terms of, you know, general personality differences. People that have a lot of body movement or gesturing probably are a pretty adaptable type, you know, but pretty go with the flow, pretty reactive in the moment, context dependent, actions, whatever, just kind of dynamic, generally speaking. Uh, if it's PE, for example, but um, and you can usually see that in people. It's if you have someone that has stereotypical PE signaling in voltology, just from having a conversation with them, they could take one topic and bounce into many different areas and topics, and so there's an open-endedness in their thinking, um Mm. a kind of scatteredness. It's up. But yeah, it's just kind of funny. I mean, every system, everybody thinks they have this, like, well, the kind of tribalism that happens with personality theory. I used to be in that camp. Now I've kind of evolved towards systems that work more effectively for my own ends that I use personally, whether or not it's true, whether or not it's like that I could even defend it as being true is kind of just a stupid game that just doesn't really serve any real purpose. So now I start just saying, this is what makes sense to me. This is what works for me. And that's basically the end of it. There might be certain features in different systems that might be interesting. I think Model G, for example, has certain elements in it that are kind of interesting, or Model L, Kamani's socionic system, that are kind of interesting. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to find, if you're in the community, some system that's repeatable, that's consistent, and that's just the end of it. And then it's over. And then you're like, okay, the whole, you know, I think, especially because people in the community they're not really productive with their differences. It's like it would be different if people were getting on consistent debates, public debates, where the difference between systems would be, um there could be a constructive conversation around the differences instead of just the freaking well, I don't like your system. Mine has all these things in it and yours does not. And you're like, shut up. Where are you from? Dude, bots. I can't, bro. But does it mean that you can't derive truth just because people debate it, or people aren't can't find consensus? Debate should, in theory, give you room to agree, and it's really focused more on the critical points of difference. And so all the other surrounding things attached to the debate, you should be looking for common ground, because it just makes the debate go quicker, it's more effective, it's more efficient. And then you actually can zero in on the topics that actually distinguish the two systems. That's where it's key. And that's where you may not have any reconciliation. But okay, you don't. And then people can decide for themselves what system is better, all things considered. But that's just, that's not going to really happen, probably. There are people in the community that I think have pushed the needle towards that and try to open up conversation. Um, but people just don't argue like they used to. All the arguments that happen now, a lot of them are just not substantive at all. Uh, but that's just the way of the world. Um, how do you know they're bots? You thought I was a bot once. Yeah, that's a good question. Well, there's some pattern. Most of the bots ask me where I'm from. Uh, I thought you were a bot initially, but the way I distinguished you from a bot was that you were actually answering my question specifically. And then you'd ask me questions that were relevant to our conversation, which the bots sometimes can mimic, but they're very programmatic in their responses. Whereas a real person, there's just the more you read comments, the more you can kind of tell. Also, your grammar is good, but it is still very obviously a human. um, I guess you could say that's not a critical point, because this person above doesn't have the best grammar here, but no offense. This is just for uh but yeah, it's either they keep asking me where I'm from, which is weird because Normal people I've never had that be from an actual person. One, I've had other people tell me I have a lot of bots in my like flood my channel or my lives. I don't know that for a fact. It just seems to be the case. I mean, we could test this. Hey bro, how are you doing? If you're not a bot, I apologize. Where are you from? Hmm. Yeah, I mean, maybe they're just from a different country, and that seems bottish to me, possibly. I am from the United States. I'm from Ohio. Where are you from? Cognitive type gives objective facts. How it's interpreted is going to differ from one person for sure. That's basically the problem with a lot of things in society. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about cognitive type in depth about they're they're noting something that is objective. The question is, what does the what does the signaling of a person's gestures actually correlate to or correlate with? We know that their claim is that it correlates to psychology. What parts of psychology? We know that they say that the part of psychology that it correlates with is personality. How? So there are still those kind of questions that I don't think like the more specific you get into that line of questioning with cognitive type, the more interpretive it becomes, which is unavoidable. I'm not saying that's necessarily a fault with their system. I think that's um, all dependent on like the claims that they make, um, and they could probably avoid that by saying, um, like linking these signals with very generic clusters of traits. Um, Even with Big Five, I'm curious about how that could correlate. But what's up, bro? But I do like cognitive type for the most part. I like the visual part. I like that. It's funny though because I haven't really. I say that I use it. I don't use it a lot, like consciously. But these are things that I've already picked up on, but didn't really have a lexicon or some kind of system to use to interpret that information. But just subtle things about people or um, what their body mannerisms kind of give off or things of that sort. That's kind of interesting. And then going to watch a bunch of videos of people of a certain type and being able to see the difference um, in their gesturing, and that's just interesting in and of itself. I feel like, but yeah, I did used to have a bunch of bots flood my lives. There's certain patterns that you can kind of pick up. I don't know that every single one of those people were actually bots, but I think a decent amount of them were. Especially when I get a random influx of people that join out of nowhere. Like I was getting like 15 people within a minute of me starting the live, and that happened pretty consistently. And I was like, these are not real people. But so sometimes I'll get people here and there that float in that I'm like, I don't know, but I did think that you were a bot too. It's my sincerest condolences and apologies. IDK, I get live streams with 20 people in it and no one comments. Oh, well, I'd rather. Yeah, I mean, bots are great conversation starters. They ask pretty decent questions. So it's just you're the guy who talks to bots. And then y- another layer of just roughness of just like this is unfortunate for you is that you respond as if they're real people. You're the guy who not only talks to bots, but you're the guy who talks to bots as if they're real people. So it's like you become a bot yourself by engaging with bots for too long. It's kind of a funny. Imagine getting stumped by a bot and taking it seriously. That's rough. That's not a good look. A bot hits you with a clean objection and you don't have a response to it. And you're just chilling there, and there's other people that see you get owned by a bot. That just is not. And then you just call it a dirty clanker. Get out of here, you dirty clanker. Yeah, that's not a good look. That's what the youngins would say is like negative aura. You get owned by a bot. It's like owning the libs, but getting owned by bots. There's like a Steven Crowder YouTube channel, but it's actually an AI bot who goes out and owns humans, who uh, who uh, who dunks on humans at campuses and stuff. Imagine. That'd actually be kind of a funny bit. But these are not hitting like they used to. I'm very glad I stopped smoking consistently. Sometimes I like a nice smoke, cigars usually, but this is like an inhalable cigar. Looks like a joint, but it's not, I promise. Or a blunt. I don't know the difference. You can tell I've never smoked weed. Never intend to. Nah, I used to smoke black and milds. I was a notorious um black and mild addict. I would smoke black. I'd cheap black and mild. I got hooked. Yeah, that was rough. I used to chief them at work when I was delivering in between stops. View message. I liked wine wood tips for a while, bro. Why is that blocked? Well, it makes no sense. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, wine wood tips are goaded. I don't know if you're a bourbon guy, but brother, Carmine, do you a favor. I don't know if you still smoke on a nice day. Go get well, you're LIE, so this is gonna be a challenge for you because you'll probably want to bring a book or something. But get you a nice book, or if you're doing some work on your laptop, as an LIE does, go get you a nice bottle of bourbon. Doesn't have to be super expensive. It can be bottom shelf and still be pretty good. Wild Turkey's highly recommended, $30 a bottle, and get you a wine wood tip. It'll change your life. That combo is undefeated. The 1D SI that you have would be increased 2 dimensions just from that endeavor. I promise. And then you think about how you can make it into a business, and you'd create some kind of work plus bourbon and cigar or wood tip black and mild workspace. Not big on bourbon, but if I get the chance, I'll try it. Trust me, brother. I didn't. You got to get so I got introduced to ryes before I got introduced to bourbons, and the ryes are a little smoother. They're less harsh, and it's a good entry into the general realm of whiskey. Um, but I started with Knob Creek Rye, which is good, and then I got into what else did I get into after that? Uh, Bullet, which is it was good for the first time, not now, but and then I moved into I had my first wild turkey experience, and that has never I have never got off the wild turkey train. I'm still up at the front telling everybody to get on board because it's you can get a big bottle for fairly inexpensive, an inexpensive big bottle of wild turkey, and wild turkey will start your car. It'll get you 2 miles. It'll get you to the gas station. That stuff is boy, multi-purposed, could be lighter fuel, you know, not really, but it's strong, but it's good though. But yeah, I would start with rye because 'cause they're a little smoother, they're not as harsh, don't burn as much going down. Um, Weller is also a good bourbon. Um, Eagle Rare Rye, I think they have. I had that once, that was pretty good. So, Maker's Mark sucks. I don't know why anybody likes that bourbon. I know it's super popular. I can't drink it. It tastes like cough syrup. Not a big fan of that. I'd stay away. Don't take the bait. People will be like, "Bruh, Maker's Market." No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. It's not it, bro. Ask for wild turkey. If it's there, ask for it. Do not get that. I don't people love Maker's Mark too. I don't know why. I don't get it. That stuff is trash. Legitimately trash. And I can drink anything. I'm not really picky at all, period. And food, with drinks, I will drink and eat anything. I'm a freaking garbage disposal. But I'll tell you what, Maker's Mark, no thanks. Now, will I still drink it? Yes. I will still drink it. But if we're going off of preference, because I can not prefer something but still consume it, unless it's just impossible to get down. But I will drink Maker's Mark if that's the only option. But I'm gonna drink it pretty quick because I'm not trying to savor that trash. Not trying to do these bugs are so annoying. So that's what I would suggest. But wood tips are great though. Wood tip wine's really good. I didn't know they had so many more flavors of Black and Miles than they do. One of my friends had I was at a bonfire and he had like a blueberry one or a vanilla one or something like that. It was like a different flavor. And I was like, bruh. But the wood tip wines go dumb. Go dumb. Yeah, I used to be real bad because apple and vanilla. Oh, dude, apple would hit hard too. I've never had that. I'm getting married tomorrow, so I might have to make a pit stop and get one of those. And then after I get back, I'll have to start a live and tell you what I thought. Give a review. Yeah, I have a pretty addicting personality, so I got we just put bourbon and whiskey in our dip. Bruh. Oh, yeah. I haven't heard about that, but I have heard people dipping their tips of their cigars in either bourbon or vodka or whatever, like it to kind of flavor a little bit. That's the Arnold Schwarzenegger method. I've heard it's pretty good. Never tried it, but I might do it this weekend, bro. That's a great idea. Ugh. But yeah, the oral part and the of smoking, that was what I was more addicted to. Of just like the process of it. But the flavor sucks. So I'm glad I broke that attachment to the flavor of it. Um, Now I just do nicotine packs, which I need to break, which I will, but I need to start weighing off of it. Those are pretty addicting too, but obviously when you have a better flavor, I mean, they don't last as long, but a pretty high, get a buzz from the dip. It cuts on your lip. Now it goes into the bloodstream. That was high school. Yeah. Yeah, it goes straight to your bloodstream. I'd imagine. That's kind of what the nicotine packs do too. I mean, you put them inside your lip and that goes straight in quickly. It doesn't last long, obviously, but it's also why they sell so many and they make so much money off of it is because the lasting buzz for uh nicotine pouches is like a 30-minute window max, depending on like the strength of nicotine, the brand, and all that. But the ones I have, it'll give me good buzz for probably like 30 minutes. And then after, once you hit like 45 to an hour, it's just eating your lip up and you just get mild flavoring. So, but yeah, so it is a good day to cut the grass. I still got to finish packing. Boy, bro, get the. I actually swallowed a pouch of dip one time when I was like 13. My brother, I didn't know what it was, and I just just put it in and swallowed it. He's like, "What the did you do that for?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm 13, stupid. Why would you give it to me?" Like, boy, my stomach was toe up. That was funny. Yeah, this just ain't it. I might even put this out. These used to smack, but it just don't do it like that no more. I watched a kid think he was chugging a bottle of Pepsi, it was all dip spit. I've seen that before too, bro. That's hilarious. They used to do that, our upperclassmen for baseball, they would pull those kind of pranks on the lower classmen, the freshmen, sophomores, whatever, underclassmen. And whenever I saw a bottle that was dark like that, I'm like, nah, you ain't getting me, bro. No thanks. There was always bruh, the dudes, upperclassmen that did that that never played. It's like you guys have too much time on your hands because you're not good at this sport. You are just here for comedic relief. I remember I had a kid that was a senior when I was playing varsity, um, and I was a freshman, and he used to always like try to give me tips on catching. And I was like, "Bro, you're not playing. Why are you telling me what to do?" It's like he was a cool guy. He was one of those dudes who actually knew what he was talking about, but he just couldn't physically do the things he was telling me to do. But eventually I realized, like, okay, you're not all full of hot air. Some of the stuff you're saying is true, but it used to piss me off originally. I'm like, bro, shut up. You're not playing. You can't tell me anything, bro. Yeah, I don't get it either. There was a lot of those kids too, especially in baseball. Like we had a bunch of dudes that were just riding the pine, bro. They were just keeping seats warm. And they were like seniors. We had a bunch of seniors that just did not play. And I'm like, why? If you aren't playing now, bro, just reinvest your time. Go have fun, hang out with friends, do something else. This is not for you. That's not fun. You literally travel, you get dressed to never play the game. You wake up early to go play a doubleheader in freaking 40-degree weather or 95-degree weather to not play. Or you go catch and go get all the foul balls that fly back. That's bruh, that is not it. You warm people up. You warm the pitcher up by throwing with him or throwing with the right fielder. What are you doing? 80 kids in baseball? Bro, what? No way. That's nuts. No, I'm not doing that. I at least have to have a prospect of playing time. That's nuts. We didn't have nearly that many kids. We had a we probably had like 10 dudes that just sat the bench. And it's different if you have like POs, pitcher only guys that just pitch because they're just if they're not starting, um, and they're at the last of the rotation, whatever. It's like they're just going to be chilling there. But that's different. That's potential use. It's you're going to be used. Oh, for football. I was gonna say like, yeah. I mean that's still crazy, but our football team was absolute buns. We were all small. The average height of our O line was maybe like 5'10", 5'11", maybe. Just a bunch of small dudes. Yeah. Yeah, we do. We have a lot of good wrestlers. A lot of my friends were good wrestlers. One of my friends, Keon, I don't know if he went to state for wrestling. We had a bunch of good wrestlers. I had a bunch of friends that wrestled all in middle school. Keon was built different though. This dude was not big, but had freaking a ridiculous frame since middle school. Just genetically gifted, like very, very low body fat, a lot of muscle. You're like, what? How are you built this way, dude? But yeah, that's sweet. I wish I would have wrestled. That'd been fun. That's a great skill to have, especially in the fight world. If you can get somebody to the ground, it's a wrap. And wrestlers can do it to you very quick. Especially if they have like modicum boxing ability just to feint and look like they can they have hands and they just get your leg, it's over. Cause then you don't need to really have that much more training. Then it's just physics. Like if I can get your legs and get you to the ground and I can stand over top, pause, sounds weird. Then it's over. Could still do jujitsu. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that combination of wrestling and jujitsu is that's I can get you to the ground and keep you on the ground. That's basically what that combined as. But it's funny though, like, um, but I was gonna say, like, we grew up wrestling. You probably remember. You're probably pretty close to my age. You remember wrestling your homies, like, you go outside to hang out and play sports, whatever, do whatever, and you get into a little tiff. We wrestled all the time. Now that just doesn't happen as much. Yeah, makes sense. It's just funny. Wrestling is a very inherently guy thing. Like just instinctively knowing, like little kids just wrestling each other. Like we did that all the time. Those were the most fun. If you had like a team party at someone's house and you'd have Royal Rumble in someone's basement. Those are fun times. Something's getting broke. Something's getting broke and someone's mom is getting called. Okay, and someone's ass is getting beat. That's happening in one weekend. That was me and my cousin, bro. We broke shit all the time. I played football and he played hockey, so it was doomed for broken furniture. They really aren't. And they're not as hands-on. Like, it's crazy. But you probably remember this too. Like, I remember wrestling my dad. I mean, we would wrestle in the living room. Like, that's just what you did. And if you have siblings, by default, they're gonna learn how to wrestle too. Oh, we'd wrestle over stupid shit. But we just understood force better, I feel like too. It was like you knew that if you got into it with somebody and they're your friend or whatever, you would wrestle first and eventually that would get chippy. If someone hits you, that's when you know it's crossed the threshold. You're like, okay, now this is a fight. Now it just results in I'm just going to shoot you if you want to fight. And it's just like what about the scalability here? We don't get that. Charlie horse from my dad was wild. Yeah, for real. I can't wait. I hope to have a son or just kids in general, but just to walk in the living room and you just pick them up and you're like, all right, let's go. Throw them on the couch. You needed up friends with the person after a fight. Yeah, exactly. There's all my friends, we fought each other all the time over stupid stuff, all the time. Mostly it was over sports, but you start talking crap to each other. Um, you'd settle real quick and the game still goes on. Those are just fun times, man. But all right, I gotta go. I need to pack, but pretty abrupt, but I have to do it. Good talking with you, brother.